Hey everybody, this is Jack Hammer from the Santa Rosa Press Democrat, reporting live from Levi Stadium, where the San Francisco 49ers today finished their seventh practice of training camp for the 2022 season. Today's practice was one of the lighter practices of camp. Yesterday was really their longest practice so far in camp. Today they decided to dial it back a little bit. They took the shoulder pads off, and it was definitely a less intense day than what we saw yesterday. A little bit more of a walkthrough pace, a little bit more than that at times. When they got to the team period and some of those drills, it was definitely up tempo. But for the most part, it was a little bit of a lighter practice today here at the SAP Performance Center in Santa Clara. Among those that took the day off were tight end George Kittle, starting linebacker Drake Greenlaw, and then offensive lineman Jalen Moore. He took the day off as well. So a little bit lighter practice. So like I said, but even though the practice was a little bit lighter, we didn't see Trey Lance have a good day. This has been a theme throughout the early part of camp for the most part. You know, Lance's performances have been up and down throughout practices. Yesterday he was 10 of 17. Today came back and he was only 3 of 9. Only 3 of 9 pass attempts in team drills today were completions from Trey Lance. I want to look at the positive side of that. 2 of those came during red zone drills when Lance was able to first find Brandon Aiyuk in the right front corner of the end zone for a touchdown. On that play, Lance was booting out to his right after a play fake to the left side. He rolled right. It was pretty well covered, but he was able to find Aiyuk, who was able to do an excellent job of staying in bounds along the right sidelines for a touchdown. Then on the very next play, we saw Lance. He had some pressure right in his face from Drake Jackson coming off the edge. Lance did a good job of keeping his feet underneath him and not hesitating. He just drilled it right over the top of Jackson into the hands of Jermichael Hasty in the left flat. The running back was able to take it in for a touchdown from there. So a couple of nice plays in the red zone drill. On the downside, though, there were a couple of clunkers for Lance, that's for sure. He had a back-to-back throws to Brandon Aiyuk deep to the right side, and then the very next play was deep to the left side to Deebo Samuel. Both throws missing the receivers by a mile. I don't know if there was communication breakdown on the throw to Samuel or not, but a couple of really bad ones there. So, you look at this numbers today, 3 of 9. He had the 2 touchdowns. That was positive. There was also 2 drops. We'll get to one of those in a second. But even then, you add the drops back in, and that's only 5 of 9. And the issue right now that I see with Trey Lance and the 49ers offense is it's either a big play down the field, or it's an incompletion, or it's a tackle for loss. They're not getting any kind of consistency from their offense in terms of their plays. They're not hitting back-to-back plays almost at any point as they're running these drills. It seems like it's very, very up and down. And as exciting as those splash plays are, they're not going to matter if you're not able to move the ball down the field. You've got to show consistency. It's one of the things. Efficiency is a big piece of playing quarterback in the NFL. I heard Steve Young talk about this a couple of weeks ago in a radio interview. But it's that ability to keep the sticks moving, to keep the ball moving down the field. It doesn't always have to be the big play. Those are going to come. But if you can just be the consistent guy, the 60 to 70% of playing quarterback in the NFL is being a game manager. And right now we're not seeing that. I know they're not playing a game, but we're not even seeing consecutive throws be completed in a lot of cases with the starting offense. So it's definitely been an uphill climb to start off. We'll see how it progresses throughout the rest of training camp. But the first 7 practices so far, I have Trey Lance right around 50% completion rate, and a few interceptions, a couple of touchdowns. But here's what I'm going to say is right now, other than the few splash plays that we're seeing, I don't see how this 49ers offense is better than they were a year ago. Especially at the quarterback position. I understand the faults of Jimmy Garoppolo. I understand the things with him. But right now, they're getting big explosive plays, but they're just not getting the consistent ones. And we'll see what happens as camp goes through. But right now, we're not seeing it. Right now, it's like I said, 50% completions. That's not good. You can't be at that percentage in the NFL. I understand quarterbacks throwing interceptions during training camp and those kind of things, and you look around the league and it's happening with everybody. I think you'd be hard-pressed to go around the NFL right now and find more than a handful of quarterbacks, even if that, as far as starters, who are completing 50% or less. And I understand the 49ers defense is excellent. I understand that he's going up against one of the top defenses that they're going to be playing all year long. But right now, this isn't what the 49ers aren't in a position right now where I think offensively they're a playoff team. Right now, their defense is a playoff defense. The offense is 5-12 offense right now with the way that they're playing on the offensive side of the ball. So they're going to have to hope that the offense, that early in the season, if this thing doesn't ramp up throughout training camp, that early on they can win some games on the shoulders of their defense, and then the offense finds their way and can catch up. So we'll see how that all plays out. Yeah, Barry Baller, you say completion percentage seems low almost every practice. Are we practicing the Jimmy Gimmies, screens, jet sweeps, slants? There's some of those. Yesterday we saw a couple of the screens. We saw some of the some of those types of things. There was a couple of those yesterday. There's definitely a push of the ball down the field at times. I would say when you watch the 49ers offense right now, it looks like the same offense that they've always run. It doesn't really look a lot different. We know that Lance is going to push the ball down the field. It's good to see him taking some shots. And again, this is where we are right now. And maybe it's just a matter of him trying to throw the ball down the field. Maybe it's him trying to take chances when right now because it is training camp. We'll find that out. But at this point, it's just not. It just hasn't been very good. But we'll see. I mean, yesterday his best throw of the day. Yesterday, or one of his best throws of the day was the throw over the middle, which you talked about the Jimmy Gimmies. That's what it was. The throw to Deebo Samuel over the middle that Samuel caught between three defenders. That was one of the Jimmy Garoppolo's big plays, right? Was that play action, quick throw right over the middle between the linebackers in front of the safeties, and that's what we saw yesterday. But there's definitely a point to it though, where like to your point that there are more deep balls. There are some deep shots, and then you have you add in the drops. So they need to get a little bit more consistent there, and they need to get running, get moving the ball down the field. Let's see what else there is. JCK 510 says the numbers will say one thing in camp, but what are you seeing from him, Jack? Does he look promising? There's a lot of promise with Trey Lance. There's a lot of things to like about him. I think when you watch Lance, he brings you the ability to move around a little bit more than what you were able to do with Jimmy Garoppolo. You're going to see him be able to move around in the pocket. You're going to see him be able to extend plays, and make second. After the play breaks down, sometimes be able to make plays with his arm, getting out of the pocket, throwing it. And we've seen some of that out here, but it needs to be a little more consistent. And like I said. Right now, we really haven't seen them do very much where they're trying to put plays together. Like we're going to take the ball and we're going to drive it down the field right now. We haven't seen them do that. It's pretty much we're in this 2nd and 10 situation. It's run that, and then, okay, we gain 5 yards. Now we're going to throw on 3rd and 5, whatever the play is. And then they're pulling the offense off, that kind of thing. So we're seeing that kind of stuff. The move the ball period they did a couple yesterday, the short one that they did looked promising. It started off in a good with a good rhythm, with a nice run, and Lance had a completion for a first down, and he had another completion that set up what looked like it was going to be a 3rd and short, and then they stopped. So, that's the other piece to this is that in practice, the way we're doing it right now, or we're watching it right now, what we're seeing them do, it's not like a consecutive number of plays. It's just when you look at the whole though, and you see that he's only completing 50% of his passes. You're seeing the ball fly all over the place at times where it's just not even close to a receiver. Like guys running a deep out route. I've counted at least 2 or 3 times at least where he's had a guy wide open on the right side or the left side running a deep out, and the ball's been incomplete, way high and behind, not even close to the receiver. So there's definitely some accuracy concerns and issues right now with Trey Lance that need to be ironed out. We'll see where it goes. Right now, the 49ers defense is definitely winning. And there's times when they're winning when they shouldn't even be because, there's guys that are open that need to be getting the ball. So that's it for today with on Lance. We can get to some more questions. Let's see what we got. Oh, yeah, we got Dirk in here. He says, everyone hit that like button, and then he adds, please. So go ahead and hit that like button if you could. I'd really appreciate it. Like Bomber T says, this team is win now. I agree. I think this team is built to win now. I think they have a lot of talent. They just need to get a little bit more consistent on the offensive side of the ball. To that point, that was one of the questions that was actually asked of D'Amico Ryans today in the press conference that we had with him. Was they asked him if he ever gets tired of basically dominating the 49ers offense, because that's really what it's been so far. They've completely dominated them. It's not, sometimes it's the pass rush, sometimes it's the quarterback. It's a little bit, it's something different all the time. And got to hit those short throws, and that's 100% correct. They've got to be willing at times to just take those little underneath throws, move the sticks, or just if it's not there, instead of taking the deep shot, hoping for the best, throw those balls underneath. And that's going to be something we'll find out as we go through training camp and we see them start to get into games. If we'll see how that game manager portion of Trey Lance's game comes out. So we'll see how it works out. So after the other piece, let's get to something positive, and that's Brandon Aiyuk. Aiyuk, before training camp, during OTAs, I'd written an article and talked on here about how Brandon Aiyuk had worked a lot out with Trey Lance, and we hadn't really seen that show up on the field yet. That gained some traction by some other folks here and there, but Brandon Aiyuk has been excellent since they started training camp. He has been really on a daily basis, almost on fire, almost without exception. Today, he started out by beating Charvarius Ward. Charvarius Ward's had an excellent training camp so far. The two matched up in one-on-one session in the red zone. Aiyuk was able to beat the press coverage. Ward, I don't even know if Ward even got a hand on him. Aiyuk was able to get free quickly, make his break inside, and catch it for a touchdown. Then he came back. His next rep, he was matched up with Jimmy Ward, so he got the other Ward. On that one, he was able to break free. It was really tight coverage, actually. Jimmy Ward was right on his back. And Aiyuk was able to make the catch along the back line of the end zone for a really nice one. So good day at the start for Aiyuk. He was able to beat both of the Wards. And then that just kind of continued on into team drills. Started off with a really nice reception where it was Aiyuk. He was on the left sideline. Did a really nice job, got up high to snag a ball from Nate Sudfeld over the head of Ambry Thomas for a gain of about 20. It was the throw was high. There was no chance that that Thomas was going to be able to get to it, and we saw Aiyuk go up and grab that thing. It kind of looked like that picture, if you've seen the picture from Swan Song that he tweets out about getting Aiyuk the ball deep. That's kind of what it looked like. He was up high, caught it along the sidelines, got his feet in bounds for a really nice catch. And then the next one, he came back, and then he had a touchdown catch from Trey Lance in the red zone drill. That was a really nice one. He was running an out towards the right side. When the ball left Lance's hand, it didn't look like it was going to be a catch. It looked like it was just going to be out of bounds, like he was throwing it away. But he didn't. Aiyuk was able to come across. He did a really nice job getting his hands on it, keeping both feet in bounds, and was a really nice strike. And then the last play of offense today was another touchdown from Brandon Aiyuk. This time he was able to haul in the pass from Nate Sudfeld in the back of the end zone, catching it right along the back line again. So a really strong day for Aiyuk. On a daily basis, he's out here making play after play after play. Looked extremely solid. It was a really, really good day for Aiyuk. Then over on the other side, you've got Deebo Samuel. Samuel making his way back from the holdout. Hadn't practiced with the team at all until just a couple of days ago. Today was his third practice back, and we saw he had a drop today. That was an issue for Deebo Samuel last year, was drops. Today, running a deep route down the left sideline during team drills. We saw Trey Lance put the ball right on the money. It was a really nice throw. It was a long ball, hit him right in the hands, and it skipped right off. And that's something that's a little bit concerning, considering as good as Deebo Samuel's numbers were, and as good as his season was in 2021, he had a lot of issues in the first half of the season dropping the football. Today with that long ball, it was just right there. It was up and over. Should have been a catch. Just take right off of his fingertips, and it was you couldn't place the ball from where Lance threw it really any better. It was a really nice throw. Should have been a big play. So that's one that's on Deebo Samuel there. So that's a little bit of a mix with the top two receivers. Then you get to the third receiver, Juwan Jennings. He had a rough day again today. He didn't have any catches yesterday. Didn't have any today, and had a pass in the end zone that was taken away from him by Ambry Thomas. So it was a little bit of a rough day for Juwan Jennings. It's been a tough couple of days. 49ers get today off, tomorrow off. We'll see if he can come back. See what happens. They get a day off, and then they come back for 2 practices on Saturday and Sunday. So we'll see if they can make up some of the ground that we've seen so far. Let me go through. Let me just go through the questions really quick. Paul asks, Jack, after seeing what you have seen thus far, what is your record prediction for this year? I know a lot of time left, but best educated guess. Well, I said 13-4. That was my original. I think the team has the 49ers have the talent to be a 13-4 team, maybe better. They have the team, probably be the best team in the NFC, quite frankly. They just need the quarterback play to be at that level. And I think they'll get there. Let's see how it works out. They're going to have to keep building this thing up. But right now, I would say it's probably somewhere in I see him, maybe having a decent start to the season with the little bit lighter schedule. But, instead of starting off 6-0, maybe 4-2. I think 4-2. If you're not 4-2 after the first 6 with the way that schedule lines up for the 49ers, I think you have to be somewhat disappointed in that. So, I'm not changing my mind yet. We're only a week into practice. We do have a long way to go. We're not even to the first weekend in August yet. The first preseason game isn't until next Friday. So we'll lay off on that a little bit. Even take that back further if you think about it, right? Go back to 2011, that season, the first year of Jim Harbaugh here. You go back to that first preseason game in New Orleans and remember how bad that offensive line looked, and they just got crushed against the Saints out in New Orleans. And that team made it all the way to the NFC Championship game and was a couple of special teams fumbles away from making the Super Bowl. So we'll see how. We got plenty of time to go. This isn't time to freak out quite yet. The notorious Gavin over from Wales says, Jack, I'm really worried because we haven't seen much juice footage this camp. Are they resting him? Did I buy my 44 jersey for nothing? No, he's out there. He's practicing. He's running around. He's blocking. They just aren't throwing the ball to him very much. So when I check out my clips, I think you might see him catch a pass or two from Trey Lance. I know they were working a little bit today during the early part of practice during their individual drills when the quarterbacks are doing their stuff and they're working on some special teams. Juszczyk was over there catching some balls. So we had a question also from Bay Area Baller. He says, is Demo working in the slot? I like me some Demo. No, he's not working in the slot. He's working outside, and that's actually the next name I was going to talk about. Deommodore Lenoir last year, he struggled as a rookie when they put him on the field early in the season. Had some struggles early on. They put him on the bench. He never really got back on the field. But he's been doing well out here during training camp. Today, he actually had an interception. It was a pass out into the right flat to Austin Mack. Nice pass, really right on the money from Brock Purdy. Hit Mack right in the hands. Couldn't catch it, bobbled it, and Lenoir was right there. He was driving on the ball, and when it bopped up in the air, he was able to reach over, grab it, and take it the other way for an interception. On top of that, a little bit later in practice, again matched up with Mack. Mack was running an in route. Lenoir did a nice job. He drove on that one. And got there right as the ball got there, was able to reach around, knock the ball away for a pass breakup. So another solid day for Deommodore Lenoir. He's definitely doing a good job on the outside. He's not getting reps on the inside. The inside, a lot of talk about what's going on in the slot, and just to kind of take, Lenoir doing well, but since the question was a little bit about who's playing inside, it's not Lenoir right now. Today it was Samuel Womack. There's definitely a rotation of guys that are playing in there. It's primarily it's been Darqueze Dennard. It's also been a little bit of Dante Johnson. Today was Samuel Womack's turn to jump in and be the work with the starters in the slot. So the rookie 5th round draft pick got on the field today with the ones. Did a good job in there. He's definitely been coming along in that slot role. we'll see how this all plays out today. The 49ers were rotating some other guys through, like, for example, Dre Greenlaw wasn't on the field today, so Oren Burks replaced him at linebacker. Uh, Jalen Moore wasn't there today, so there was some shakeup at right tackle. Mostly, though, it didn't really affect a whole lot because Mike McGlinchey took all the reps with the starters. Um, so it was a solid day at center. Kind of coming off the DBs just for a second at center, we saw the rotation again there. Right now, it's been Daniel Brunskill and Jake Brendel. They've been rotating in with the ones. Yesterday, Daniel Brunskill took the first reps. Today it was back to Jake Brendel. So it was a little bit of they're still working their way through that position at center, through the situation there, much like they're doing in the slot. Also in the secondary, going back to that, I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. But in the secondary today, we saw Tarvarius Moore get more of the reps with the ones, replaced in place of Talanoa Hufanga. So you saw some of Tarvarius Moore and Talanoa back at the safety spot with Jimmy Ward. Again, I think it's the 49ers just trying to rotate different guys through, get their ones and twos comfortable playing with each other, so that it's just kind of which is a smart decision. You get those guys all kind of playing together so that when there is a need to put in one of your backups, they've got the experience of working together, and it's not something that's catching them off guard. JCK wants to know, how is the running back depth chart shaking out through your perspective? Well, it's Mitchell. Mitchell is one, and then it's a big logjam of everybody else behind that. We're seeing Trey Sermon got some good carries today. Tyrion Davis-Price had a couple with the group. Right now, if I had to say who I think the top four are, it's Mitchell, Sermon, Tyrion Davis-Price, and I think Jeff Wilson Jr. Jeff Wilson Jr. and Jordan Mason are probably right there fighting for that fourth spot. And then whoever doesn't get that gets fifth, and then you have Jermichael Hasty at six. Hasty's a good back out of the backfield. Just I don't know where he really fits with this offense from a running perspective, and so that's part of the issue with him being on the field. It's interesting because all the running backs the two running backs that came back, Mitchell and Sermon, have both said the same thing was their goal going into the offseason. That was to put on some weight, put on some mass, get a little thicker. We're definitely seeing that. Sermon talked to us today. He actually was working out with Dalvin Cook over the offseason, and one of the things that Cook was telling him and he needs to focus on is just working on trusting himself, trusting his eyes, trusting what he's seen. And for the most part, we've seen Sermon right now. He's looked decent over the first 7 practices. I've been here for 5 of the 7, and the 5 days that I've been here, 4 of those 5, I've seen Sermon make some nice plays. I'm looking forward to seeing how he looks when we get to next Friday against the Packers. See how he runs the ball and how he fits into that whole mix. Gav wants to know if they're using Juice in the slot as a wide receiver 3 or 4. He lines up in that area sometimes where they line him up either in the slot or kind of as a wing. So he becomes like really almost more like not so much your wide receiver 3 or 4, but more of your tight end 2. More of that when you see him moving around. Yeah, that's a good one. Juice Star 21-22. Everyone knows you never liked Trey or probably was expecting Mahomes. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a guy who all throughout the offseason has been saying that Trey Lance is going to be fine, that the 49ers offense should be fine with Trey Lance. There's been a lot of folks that have been pretty knocking him pretty hard. I wasn't one of them. I was one who said that I believed in what he could do this year. I'm just reporting what I'm seeing too. When you're completing less than 50% of the passes, you want me to come on here and lie and tell you that he's doing great? I can come on here and tell you that it's fantastic because he's completed a couple of deep throws. I'm not going to do that because that's not going to win the 49ers games. You got to be able to move the ball. You got to keep the sticks moving. You got to do those kind of things. And when the performance that we're seeing right now, I understand that he's going up against a great defense, but it's not just the defense. There's times when he has time to throw and the balls aren't getting where they're supposed to get, and that's more of the concern for me than anything else. Now, I understand we are what does it say? Today's the 3rd of August. The 49ers don't play a game until the second week of September, so there's a long way to go. And so they work on their stuff out here. We'll see how it pans out. I'm just telling you that so far, when you're completing 50%, that's not good. And I know that Jimmy Garoppolo, when he was here, had interception issues during training camp and those kind of things. But I have a pretty strong feeling if I go back and look at Jimmy Garoppolo's numbers from the first 7 days of camp last year, he wasn't completing 50% or lower than his throws. So, again, it's about moving the sticks. It's about being efficient on offense. I understand that there could be Trey Lance taking more risks with the ball because it is training camp, trying to see what he can fit in with his arm, trying to see if he can make certain plays. And I'm totally fine with that. So that's why I say this is where he is. It doesn't look good, but I've said all this already. I'm repeating myself from earlier in the show. He has some really nice plays. We've seen him be able to make some really nice plays with his legs. But I think the thing is, he just needs to be some more consistent. And we saw a really small glimpse of a team drill yesterday where they were actually trying to move the ball down the field. And that's what I need to see more of, because I think that if they do that, we'll get a better idea of where he is, because we're not seeing them move the ball periods and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a little bit herky-jerky and all that kind of stuff as it goes. So that's all it is there. Luke asked why the low completion percentage, slow release. I don't think it's the slower release. I think it's just there's times when the balls are just inaccurate. There's guys that some of them are deeper out routes. It's a 10, 15-yard out, and the consistency of that throw has not been there yet. So that's a part of the issue right there. So we'll see. I guess defense knows the plays out and how completion percent. I guess, but again, we're talking about less than 50%, and I have a hard time squaring that up. I really do. This happens at all levels where you're playing against the same guys all the time. So we'll see what happens. Again, let's let this run through. We're 7 practices in. Right now, I'm not seeing anything that's getting me jumping up or down for joy with Trey Lance. I see glimpses. I want to see more of it. I see glimpses of it, but it's not on a consistent basis. And I think more than anything, that's what I'm trying to convey today. If you guys could hit that like button, like Brian called the member of the toolbox, that's why he's got the little symbol next to his name, says hit that like button, everybody. Please do. That'd be fantastic. Notorious Gav asked if Hasty makes a team. Right now, I think he's one of those guys that's on the bubble. I don't think I would put him on the team at this moment, but we'll see. You guys asked me about the running game, and Elijah Mitchell today. Since we're talking running backs, Elijah Mitchell, he had a couple of big runs. They didn't have shoulder pads on. It's just against all they had on was helmets. But he had a couple of nice runs. Inside run game worked out well for Elijah Mitchell today. The first play of the red zone drill that they ran was an inside run to the right side, and Mitchell was untouched until all the way through and was able to get in the end zone. One of the focuses that Mitchell's had this season is doing a better job of catching the ball in the backfield. He talked the other day about not wanting to have to come off the field on third down and be able to be that third down back as well. Struggled a little bit with that today. I had 2 targets from Lance. Both of them were little swing passes out to the right side. The first one hit him in the hands. He dropped it. Came back the very next play, though, and Lance again went to him in the right flat. Nice check down, nice completion up the sideline for a nice gain. Other than, really today we had a couple of balls go deep, but really in the first 3 quarters of practice, everything was check down, check down, check down. There was a throw, then they got into the red zone, and those are still check down. There's types of throws, the roll, short throw, to Aiyuk. Obviously they're not going to go downfield in that area, but it wasn't even into the back of the end zone. But good job by Mitchell on the reception. Talked a little bit about Trey Sermon. He looked good today. Tate Martin is another guy to talk about. He's a undrafted rookie free agent. I don't know if he's going to make the roster, but I think he's going to be a prime candidate for at least a practice squad. He's from Oklahoma State. Martin looked explosive today during one-on-ones. Got off the line. He beat Kadar Holman and just really shook him to get wide open on a quick slant. It was a really nice route. Holman couldn't even get his hands on him. Really nice job there for Tate Martin. And then that takes us to the backup tight end, Tanner Hudson. You might recall the 49ers brought in Tanner Hudson last year. He was a midseason pickup from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had a couple of big catches today. The first one was up the right sideline. He was running the wheel route. Brock Purdy had some pressure, was moving around. He stopped. Hudson stopped in an open area on the right sideline. Purdy saw him, was able to stick the ball on him for a nice gain up the right sideline. The two came back on the very next throw from Purdy. It was a deep throw down the left sideline, and Hudson did a good job. He was able to get up and catch the ball over Marcelino McQuarrie Ball. I think he's one of the undrafted free agent rookies that they have, linebacker. Really nice job there by Hudson for another big gain as well. And then can't go a day without talking about Spencer Burford. Burford's had a strong camp so far. Today we saw the rookie right guard. He deserves a couple of times during pass plays, during team drills, where he just completely swallowed up Kevin Givens in pass protection. Burford looks everything that you'd want in terms of that starting offensive player at right guard. He's been looking really solid. He struggles at times, but for the most part, there's more positives and negatives with Spencer Burford. We'll see how this whole thing plays out, and if he ends up being the right guard, or if Daniel Brunskill doesn't win the center competition, if Brunskill gets slid back over to right guard. But either way, I think Burford is a guy that's going to be around the 49ers for a long time to come and do well. And I already mentioned the Samuel drop. So that's pretty much the report today. Let me just check and see if there's any more questions that I can ask for you. We've got Justin Lomker. Thank you very much for the super chat. He says, "Who is the first to talk to Lance after a bad play?" I'm pretty sure that's Kyle Shanahan. He's got him in his ear with the microphone. So I'm pretty sure it's coming directly from Kyle Shanahan first before Brian Griese gets to him. Usually from kind of what I've heard in the interviews and things with Lance, it seems like it's usually Kyle Shanahan is letting him know where the ball should have gone or where it shouldn't have gone and those kind of things. So I'm pretty sure it's Shanahan that gets to him first. We'll see. It's going to, see where it works out. Niners Warriors says, Jack, with the O-line shuffling things around, Debo still on his A game, no game planning. How many quarterbacks in this league would not be struggling against this defense in practice right now? Okay, I get it, but there's quarterbacks in the NFL. There's probably, I'd say, about 20 quarterbacks in the NFL who would be doing better than what we've seen so far. It's the low completion percentage is not just a factor of the defense. It's a factor of the quarterback throwing inaccurately. It's a factor of having guys that are open by NFL standards and having the ball fly over the back of them on an out route where they can't even, there's not even any reason for them really to put their hand up. It's those kind of things. It happens on a regular basis. The two deep routes that we saw today, the one to Brandon Aiyuk, the one to Debo Samuel, they weren't even in the same zip code. Now, the one to Samuel might have been a little miscommunication because I did see him go up and talk to Lance after the play. I saw him go over and talk a little bit to Kyle Shanahan. But there's definitely some times when the ball should be put in better places that it's not. And we're not even talking about hard throws, though. We're talking about just NFL level quarterback throws that you would expect your average starting quarterback in the NFL to make, and they're not being made right now. So we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, at the same time as I say that, you can turn on the clips and you're going to see the throw from Trey Lance where, he hits Brandon Aiyuk over, along the right sideline over the top of Charvarius Ward with a fantastic throw a couple days ago, where the throw down the left sideline to George Kittle. You can turn on all the highlights you want. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing a quarterback that's completed less than 50% of his throws. And I keep saying we're 7 days into camp. Doesn't mean that he's going to suck. It means that's where we are. He can come out tomorrow or on Friday and Saturday and Sunday and be lights out. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to tell you that he looks lights out. Uh, Zorro says, just dropped in. Do you see Trey starting to become quicker to scramble since he's always pressured or looking down first? No, I don't think that's the case. I think that he's looking to throw first. Trey Lance, for the most part, is not a guy um, who wants to hit his back foot and just take off because he doesn't trust in what he's seen. He wants to throw the ball from the pocket. He wants to throw the ball from behind the line of scrimmage without having to move. But he has that ability to do it, and that's one of the things that's going to be a plus for him as the offensive line comes together. All that on the days when the offensive line has been at his best, he's been better. Today they were fine, and he struggled, but Lance is the guy who doesn't want to take off running. He wants to make the plays with his arm, not his legs. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think his scrambling is going to be a big positive for this offense because of the way that he does it, and that second level play, I guess, is what it's called. Where the original play breaks down and he's moved up in the pocket and he starts to slide around. That's something that we haven't really seen before. Seen very much of with Jimmy Garoppolo here that I think we're going to see with Trey Lance, and that's going to benefit this team. Niners Warriors asked, do you think that Mac Jones, Matt Ryan would be doing any better? From a throwing aspect, yes. I think Matt Jones and Matt Ryan are more accurate throwers, and the throws I'm talking about Trey Lance missing that are concerning to me are throws that they're going to make. Now, when it comes to like those deep throws today, those might have happened anyway. But I'm talking about the 10, 15-yard out routes, those being on a line and right on the money. Matt Ryan hits those. Mac Jones probably hits those. Trey Lance right now is a little off and on with it. So we'll get there. Those out routes are also a little bit of a timing thing. So we'll see. Let's hit this again on Friday. Let's see how Friday's practice goes. Friday I think they'll be back out in pads. They'll be coming off a day off. So we'll see how he looks then and where they are. That's a good question. I like that, Lukey. Luke says it's possible that Trey's evil twin Skippy was the one taking snaps as training camp. Maybe. No, I mean it's whatever. The caretaker says, "Love the content, Jack. Don't forget to hammer the like button, y'all." That's right. I appreciate it, and I also appreciate Joe, who is a member of the Toolbox. Again, that's what that little symbol says. Says thanks for the honest reports. Appreciate you not pushing a narrative. Absolutely. I can't come out here and tell you that he's doing well when he's completing 3 of 9, which could have been up to 5 of 9. So anyway, so it was an interesting day today. Like I said, it was a little bit of a lighter practice in terms of the intensity and all those kind of things. And as I was standing on the sidelines and I was talking to Jordan, who Splash Cousin on Twitter, a lot of you know him from his coverage and work he does over at Niners Nation. We're talking a little bit about the quarterback situation, and he made a point to me. It's something that I haven't noticed, and we'll keep an eye on it. That sometimes Trey Lance seems to be better with the pads on than without because it forces him to be a little more stiff, a little bit more consistent with his release point and those types of things. So we'll see. We'll see. Love your opinion. I think Mac Jones and Matt Ryan type quarterbacks would get demolished against a D-line rush like ours in camp. In my opinion, all good. No, and that's fine. And I agree with you from a standpoint of there. And I'm not disagreeing with you that they would be getting hit probably more often than Trey Lance. What I'm saying is the throws that I'm talking about that I'm concerned with are throws that don't have to do with the defensive line affecting them. It's hitting your back foot and driving that out route and just having it not even be in the ballpark. It's hitting your back foot, throwing a quick in route to your left side and having it way off the mark. It's those kinds of things. Hitting your back foot today, having Brandon Aiyuk open on a deep corner route, missing him badly early on in practice, and that has nothing to do with the offensive line. But I get what you're saying, the Niners Warriors. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. Those two guys would probably see a much higher sack rate with those two on the field or over the early part of camp than we have with Trey Lance. And that's one of the positives with Lance is that he's got that mobility, he's got that ability to move around in the pocket. So it's going to be interesting. We've got a month to go, a little bit more than a month. I don't remember which day the first game is. I think it's the 12th or right around that point. So we still have a long ways to go to get there, and we'll see how it all plays out between now and, there's going to be a 17-week gap between the last preseason game and the first regular season game. So it'll be interesting. So, Joe says the pass rush looks better when the quarterback is indecisive or hesitant. Yes, it does, because they're holding on the ball a little bit longer, right? And so it gives them more time to get there. But at the same time, this 49ers pass rush, especially when Nick Bosa is on the field, it's quick, man. They're getting there extremely fast at times. So just something to keep an eye on as we get into how many, Jaden, thank you for the super chat, says, how many weeks into the season do you think it will take for Lance to become a consistent playmaker? I would say, probably over the first, hopefully it's by week 3, right? I think you're going to see him. The way that I see this 49ers season playing out is I see 6 games at the beginning, all that are winnable based on the opponents and based off of the talent level the 49ers have compared to those opponents. If they struggle there, I think if they're anything less than 4-2, then we really need to reconsider where this team is. But if they can get, I just, you get through that first 6 games, and hopefully by the end of that 6-game stretch, that's when you see Trey Lance being more consistent, because that's when you're going to be taking on the tougher teams. I think they're going to be able to win games early on, those first 6, like I said, with Lance kind of learning the ropes. But hopefully by week 7, we're not seeing 2 separate halves of quarterback play. Hopefully we're seeing, the same guy in the first half and the second half, and drive to drive even, and throw to throw. That's what's going to be most important there. Yeah, and that's a really good point. And I appreciate it, Jaden. Thank you for the super chat. That was a solid question. The caretaker says, I feel like coach has done a good job allowing Trey to be bad and not pressuring him to be perfect like the fans are. And you're right. And that's the other piece that goes along with it too, right? Is they have their things they're working on. And that's why I keep kind of coming back to saying we need to see them, or I need to see them. I want to see them run some move the ball period, because that'll give me a better idea of where the offense is right now. If they can move the ball and pick up first downs and get in the end zone or get in the field goal position, that's a big positive. And that's where you get to see him start to make plays that you would expect him to do on the field on a regular basis. So they haven't really done that yet. Hopefully we get to see that as we get into this weekend, if not next week, ahead of the game against Green Bay on Friday. So can Lance protect himself better this year? Yeah, I think. I mean, he protected himself pretty good last year for the most part, even though, there's a couple of times where he made some goofy runs. But against Arizona, that was a tough game plan. But even with that, it wasn't like he was taking big shots. So I think he'll be okay. Let's see. Yeah. So that's it for today. It was a good day. Overall, the 49ers got their work in. The positive right now is they're not dealing with too many injuries. I will be back. Tomorrow's an off day for the team. I'll be back up on Friday. I'll be here all weekend for all the practices, and make sure that you're tuned into the channel and report back tomorrow night. Check in. I should be doing the Hammer and Nail show with Jesse Naylor tomorrow night at 5:30. So keep your eyes out on the channel for that. If you could do me a favor before you leave, I'm going to ask you 4 things. I'm going to do it a little backwards today. I want you to start off by going to 49ers.pressdemocrat.com. Make that a favorite on your web browser. You can check out all the write-ups that I do after camp every day. You can check that out. The Press Democrat is who pays the bills. They're the ones that are allowing me to do this. If you can give them some love, that'd be fantastic. Once you do that, hit the like button. If you like what you're seeing, hit that like button, and also hit the subscribe button. That way you're going to see the channel all the time. And when you hit that subscribe button, you'll see a little bell. click that little bell so you get notified every time we go live, so you don't miss any of the shows. I saw Dabadoo, I think it was in here earlier. He was saying that he was checking it out on his lunch break. So you can get notified if you're busy at work during the day. I understand you can just kind of close it out, but you'll know that it's there and come back to it a little bit later. So just check it out. I appreciate everybody. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. I will see you tomorrow night on the Hammer and Nail Show, and then I'll be back here at Levi Stadium on Friday for day 8 of 49ers training camp. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.